All right, people, welcome back. My name is Dave. This is the Radical Independent. Welcome, all you free radicals out there. So, this story is mind boggling. So, I wanted to talk about it. It's depressing. US and UK vow to keep supporting Ukraine regardless of counteroffensive. Ukrainian officials have said their Western supporters should lower their expectations of the so called planned assault. This information comes to us courtesy of Dave DeCamp over at antiwar.com. Really great website. I wish antiwar.com would have supported Scott Ritter a little bit more. Scott Ritter is actually over in Russia right now, promoting his book and trying to promote peace. And people over there are flocking to the message. Here in the United States, no such thing. In fact, the US and the UK, not only are they vowing to keep arming Ukraine, but they're also pledging more money. Here it is, also, almost on the same day, $1.2 billion. That's billion with a B. 1.2 billion arms package for Ukraine, which includes air defense systems and lots of ammunition. So Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his British counterpart, the cleverly named James Cleverly, vowed on Tuesday that the US and Britain will continue supporting Ukraine in its war against Russia, regardless of the result of Kiev's expected counteroffensive. Now, they keep telegraphing the counteroffensive. How offensive is it going to be? How effective is it going to be? Hey, we're going to do a counteroffensive. Doesn't look good now, but you just wait. We're going to counteroffense like you've never seen or never heard. Anyway, it goes on here. We need to continue to support them, irrespective of whether this forthcoming offensive generates huge gains on the battlefield. This is both Blinken and Cleverly here, because until this conflict is resolved, and resolved properly, it is not over. Wow. Clinton, wow, there you go. There's a Freudian slip. Cleverly and Blinken said this at a joint press conference in Washington. Man, these guys, they can get together to sign off on more war. I mean, imagine, hey, let's get together and talk about spending more money, causing our countries to default, clearly just not being concerned about domestic policy at all, because in this case, good foreign policy would result in better domestic policy, but these guys don't care. Blinken strongly backed Cleverly's comments. I can only vehemently agree with my friend and strongly endorse what he's just said. We have exactly the same perspective, he said. Holy crap, really? The same perspective between Blinken and Cleverly. Who would have thunk it? And it gets worse. Blinken also disputed the notion for Ukraine and Washington, for support that is, support for Ukraine and Washington was waning, pointing to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who recently expressed strong support for backing Kiev. Blinken says, I would refer you, for example, just recently to the very strong statement made by the Speaker of the House, McCarthy, about support for Ukraine and the enduring support and determination to see this through. So you want cooperation? You want these guys to all get along? It's war, baby. War is the only thing. These people love war. They get along talking about war. They unite with other countries about war. I mean, why is Russia? Russia is not a threat to us. Russia wants their territory back, or they want the fighting to stop. They had a couple of goals over in Ukraine: denazification and demilitarization. And you may think, well, that's, they shouldn't have went in there. They're a bully. Ukraine did nothing to provoke them. No, only NATO breaking treaties did stuff to. And who's a part of that? Well, not officially Ukraine, but they might as well be. They want to be. This is just disgusting. We have all these domestic problems. And Russia sits on a ton of natural resources. and they've pegged their currency to gold, right? And they've got tons of oil, and people are trading with Russia. And all we do is sanction countries. We don't trade, we just sanction them. We don't like you, we're going to put sanctions on you. Oh, okay, great. In the meantime, who suffers? The American consumer, the American ordinary deplorable person. And for all you Trumpers, because I mentioned deplorables, right? Donald Trump needs to be anti-war. He needs to come out and say, you know what? Not only would I have not had this happen, but I don't think we should be running around the world doing this stuff. But Trump basically likes to brag about how he built up the defenses and so forth, which is fine to a degree, but there are so many other things that we can do. I mean, they're not really serious about securing the southern border, but yet they can agree on war with other countries. They can do that. And that's an issue, people, because more than, I would say about 3/4 of the debt that we have is basically because of the last 20 years of military interventions. At least. It's probably higher than that. Because you get these reports how the Pentagon lost $1 trillion yesterday. Huh? What? Hence the idea of what? The $1 trillion gold bullion coin or something that's been platinum coin that's floating around. Yeah, we could solve this. We're just going to create these super valuable coins, and then we just erase the entire debt. Yeah, that's funny. So these guys, Blinken, Cleverly, they agree. The pledge from Cleverly and Blinken comes as there are many signs that Ukraine's counteroffensive will not be successful. Really? Gee, I guess Scott Ritter might be right, huh? Wow. Ukrainian Defense Minister Reznikov has said the West should lower expectations for the assault. One of the Pentagon documents that appeared online as part of the Discord leaks was a U.S. assessment from February that showed the U.S. did not believe Ukraine could regain significant territory. See, Russia is only just trying to make the Donbass region independent because they voted for their independence. See, this is why you can't do this in the United States. You know, Idaho says we don't want to be a part of the Union anymore. No, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. We're coming in and we're going to tell you that you're still under our control. And it's the same thing with Ukraine and Donbass. And they basically are trying to control that region. And look, again, denazification, demilitarization, that was the goal. Now, because, you know, things have escalated because the West keeps pushing and pledging and saying, you know what, we're in this forever. You keep fighting, we're going to just get more money, $1.2 billion, American taxpayers. It's not even just taxpayers now. It's just anyone who's in the United States is going to be taxed, whether it's through direct taxation or through inflation, which is basically a stealth tax. It looks a lot nicer. Your green beans go from 50 cents a can to 75 cents a can. And people go, okay, I can still manage this. But then you get a cart full of groceries and you're like, hey, I used to spend $100. Now I'm spending $250. That's a huge increase. And that's reality. That's reality on the ground. But how does this relate to foreign policy? Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. This goes on. It talks about how one of the Pentagon documents that appeared online as part of the Discord leaks, again, analyzed more and said that supposedly the Ukrainian military was in better shape, or at least that's what Blinken thought. And he put this out there, and Discord had it. But Politico reported on April 24th that current assessments also doubt that Kiev can gain much territory. Notice how they're talking about gaining territory. Can they talk about just fending off the Russian army? Are they able to do that? I mean, they're speaking in a different language. It's like Russia comes in there and starts blowing stuff up and taking things over and pushing Ukraine, and the Ukrainians are fighting. They're fighting hard. Scott Ritter corrects me when I say, hey, are they getting, the crap kicked out of them, and he says, well, kind of, but they're fighting very hard, and they're doing the best they can with what they've got. But certainly to just keep dumping money into this and thinking you're going to get what kind of investment? Natural resources, biolabs. Yeah, we know all of that stuff is going on. Stuff we can't even imagine, really. Ukraine was a very corrupt country. And again, you got the Biden crime syndicate out there who really all should be in jail, especially if you consider what they've done compared to what Donald Trump has done. Donald Trump made a phone call, said, hey, what's going on with Hunter Biden? Oh, that's an evil phone call. You can't find out about what Hunter Biden is up to. That's Russian disinformation. So is Dave Camp here, Dave DeCamp, reporting on Russian disinformation? Or did Blinken and Cleverly not have a press conference? And did McCarthy not agree with these guys? See, this is why you can easily be politically homeless, because when you factor things out and say, okay, yeah, I want a strong military, but I don't want a military that goes all around the world and just fights for no reason. This is not in our national interest. Even if you think Russia was wrong to go in there, it's still not in our national interest. When are we buddy buddies with Ukraine? I mean, if this happened to the UK or something, yeah, I would say they should fend for themselves. But I wouldn't, complain all that much if we were sending troops to help them, stave off some kind of an attack. But look, this is a regional conflict. It's been going on for thousands of years. All of a sudden now, it's so important. And most of the country has no idea. They have their little Ukrainian flag lapel pin or something, and they wear it proudly, and they post the flag or whatever outside, and they think to themselves, I'm doing the right thing. I support America and I support Ukraine. All these countries that a lot of people don't even, Ukraine, does anybody know where Ukraine is on the map? They know that things keep getting more and more expensive, and everything we're doing, it's the foreign policy, it's the domestic policy, it's the culture war, which is out of control and ridiculous. You've got a humanitarian crisis on the southern border, whether you're pro or con on legal/illegal immigration. I want to shut it down for a while and get our bearings straight. We need to shut all immigration down. We don't need a larger population in the United States right now. What we need is infrastructure in place. And if you're truly seeking asylum, and by the way, there are other countries you can flee to. Why does everybody have to come here? It's just basically exhausting all of the resources we have. But no, we have to be more concerned about the war in Ukraine, because if Russia ends up winning this, which it looks like they're going to, the United States they've lost another war. Afghanistan lost, Iraq lost, Vietnam lost, go down the list. Loser, big loser. But yet we keep doing this over and over again to prop up the military industrial complex and to the line, basically lining the pockets of people who are already wealthy at the expense of just the regular deplorable citizen who can't really get a break. And again, foreign policy, Tulsi Gabbard said foreign policy is domestic policy. The national debt is a result of this. Ron Paul predicted this. The foreign entanglements, the founding fathers, they said don't do it. And here we are, endless. It's just never going to end. This is the new normal. Well, it's not new. It's just normal. It's war. It's what we do. All right. I could go on and on, but nobody wants to hear me rambling. Listen, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I've got another channel called The Real Music Observer. Can you folks do a favor? Don't throw RMO comments on this channel. Just don't do it. I'm not going to read them. I'm going to delete them. Same with any negative or insulting comments. For now the comments are on, but if I find it's getting toxic, All the comments will either go off or will be held for review. And quite honestly, I don't get around to reviewing and posting comments right away. I tend to just let that slide for a few days. So, try to keep it nice, try to keep it classy, and stick to the subject matter at hand. If you've got something to add, great. If it's just a critique of me or my production value or whatever it is, just refrain. You don't have to say anything. You know what your mom said? If you don't have anything nice to say, maybe don't say anything at all. All right. That's my grievance. Again, thanks for watching. See you soon.